I guess around late July, we got wind that Netanyahu was coming. Some people were like, there's no way that we can allow this war criminal on campus. Most of the Palestinians, and even most of the lefties, were totally against it, and people were really pissed off.
You know damn well they're not going to stop me or anyone else from speaking.
Justice is awesome gets written on a placard. Justice is all written on a placard. Justice, I tell you what, justice is executed. Justice is executed. Justice is executed. Justice is action.
Okay, Netanyahu's coming. We were like, we're going to shut him down. He can't come on our campus.
Okay, let's move now, move! No!
We made it down to the escalators, and from there we had determined to stay where we were until it was cancelled.
At first, when we were planning on bringing in Netanyahu, I think someone said to me, at Concordia, is it going to be okay? And I thought, definitely, it's Montreal. People can yell at you, people can heckle, but never in a million years would I have thought there'd be a riot. Security had set up so that people trying to get in with tickets had to go through a crowd of protesters. And I started speaking to people to find out what was going on. They said, Noah, this person was spitting on me.
At some point, Samir goes down to the front, and Samir tries to just march through with his hands up just to occupy the lobby. And people come with him, and the police start beating him back really harshly. I wanted to just get in their way so they could stop beating people. And a cop just comes up, grabs me, and pulls me off, and then a second cop joins him, and then a third cop and a fourth cop, and they just sort of try and drag me to the ground. And meanwhile, I'm swearing at them and spitting in their face, as was later broadcast for the world, including my grandmother to see.
At the request of both Mr. Netanyahu's own security and the police, he will not come here for election.
However,
it's enough to show our Jewish pride. We came here to the viper's nest of anti-Semitism and anti-Israel hatred.
All of a sudden, they shut the doors. I spoke to my sister Naomi. She said, people are really scared. There's something outside that we've never been exposed to before. I said, there's hatred. People hate us. People hate us. Hatred. Venom coming out of their eyes. The feeling was that we had lost. They've won.
It's been a success. It's great. You know, we take complete credit for this, and I think it's a victory. I'm very, 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 very happy. Like, very happy.
It was a really big event that actually hasn't happened before on a school campus, so it made international headlines. But that was on CNN, that was on Al-Jazeera, that was everywhere. And I just knew that in one day, the breaking of that one window would dictate the terms under which I'd be playing out this school year. Every culture that you can think of has some sort of representation at Concordia. We happen to have a very strong and vocal Arab population, and within it, a large number of Palestinian students, coupled with the fact that at Concordia, you also have a very strong and large activist community. And since the Israel-Palestine conflict really affects our lives here in Canada, as we're learning now, especially in the aftermath of September 11th, what happens in the Middle East can really affect us here now. There's been this natural alliance formed between pro-Palestinian students, Arab students, and lefties. That said, I have found myself feeling in the middle at times this year, when I feel as if my side, the pro-Palestinian side, is making decisions that I don't agree with.
Not this.
Okay, then watch this. This is awesome. Like, so for example, I was really opposed to the fact that people that are good friends and comrades wanted to shut down Netanyahu's right to speak.
Have you seen the video from inside?
No, I
Aaron?
have.
Yeah,
And
it's disgusting.
No, I know. And also, you know what? I thought this for a long time until fucking Samir admitted to me. He said yes. Like
Welcome to the Viper's Nest.
No,
Look at that.
I'm trying to explain here.
An Indian?
Samir said yes. I was
Canadian
offered 10
Jew?
tickets.
No,
So
no,
at that point,
Shadi. I'm just serious.
The Rainbow Coalition.
Rainbow Coalition.
But people have said, well, the only reason why I supported Netanyahu's right to free speech is because I'm Jewish and because I have some Zionist sympathies. But it's not true. I support free speech for anybody.
Aaron, why are you bringing all this other stuff up? Your free speech argument is a smokescreen.
No, it's not a smokescreen, Jay.
It is, the way you're using it, because we believe in free speech.
Okay, so you're
This
gonna-
has nothing to do with free speech.
So
It's the most abstract,
No, Jay,
no, it's the most abstract way of looking at free speech and
listen.
divorcing it from any reality of power dynamics. You shut off a whole area of campus. And then the Arab students are supposed to come onto campus that day and be good Arabs and like put their heads down and say, for free speech, I'm going to take my books, I'm going to walk in the building on the side.
Yeah, Jay, I'm saying
no,
that.
no,
Really,
I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying that's not better.
Jay,
We should have had
can you
10,000
stop?
people there.
You don't listen. It's not like worth arguing with you. It's like,
To be fair, it's tough to argue with you, man. It's hard to get a word in edgewise. There's
we can disagree on how we assert
There's plenty of
ourselves.
ego in the room, man.
Over the past few years, there's been a lot of animosity towards the Concordia Student Union and the Arab activists that it's associated with and that has worked closely with. People say things like the Arab terrorists and the Arab fascists and the Marxist Arabist cabal that runs the Concordia Student Union. And all of these are words that you can find, not just from individuals' mouths, but reported in the press.
When there's such hate. But you become a tool in the hand of the fucking Zionists.
What about the airline hijack? The Palestinians are terrorists. They went.
Oh, hey, that's racist. Take it back. Take it back now.
The Israelis are
Take it back.
Don't tell me what to take back.
It's
freedom of speech. It's freedom of speech.
Yeah, but he said
On the mezzanine where students are like trying to go to classes and come back from classes, you have this like huge argument with people and crowds, and people are like, you touched my sweater. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. And blah blah blah. And like, this picture says has a caption that says terrorist, and they're not terrorists. Yes, they are terrorists. And blah 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 blah.
solving the problem, apply justice. 5 million refugees, they go back. Refugees go back. Live together, one country, call it whatever you want to
But
call
this
it.
is my point. I think that would have been a great idea. But considering all the hate that's built up,
I think
you can't do that.
I think either it's
People who don't have relatives who aren't intimately connected with the area, you don't know what it's like when you hear a news piece about, no matter who dies, how many people die, where it was, you stay extra alert. Something stands up. You hope it's not bad. And so that's one thing that unites us. We both know what it's like. Both communities know what it's like when that news piece comes on.
Was the scene just minutes after it happened. The bomb exploded at the Hebrew University, killing and maiming students who packed the popular cafeteria every lunch hour.
Passions are at the boiling point now as both sides bury their dead. Most are Palestinians.
There's always been a tradition of activism at the university, going back to its two founding institutions, for example, at Sir George Williams. There was a time in the 30s and part of the 40s when if you were Jewish in Montreal and you wanted to go to university and you didn't want to face a quota system at the other universities, you'd apply to Sir George because you were accepted and welcome. Why are the Canadian kids taking up a foreign debate? See, I think one of the things is it isn't foreign. The person who lives here in Montreal, be he, in this particular case, Jewish or Arab, he's somehow, or she's somehow, either directly affected or feels directly affected by this. Just because you're 8,000 kilometers away doesn't really matter anymore. That's what the cooling off period was, to put on hold certain public events that inflamed passions on both sides.
I've been waiting for this for a long time. Given the very serious nature of this behavior, the university will be requesting a 1-year suspension for Mr. Matte. I'm not worried, they have pretty flimsy evidence. Yeah. I think I'll be vindicated, for sure. With Samir, I can believe that people want to get him for a racist reason. He's a very articulate, very, very well-informed spokesperson for the Palestinian cause. The university wants to expel him for 6 years, and the criminal charges against him, hold a sentence of up to something like 2 years in jail or something.
Oh, well, I received a call yesterday from a police detective who said that he wants to see me in court. He wants to see me in the station, sorry. And yeah, they told me that my conditions, I can't be here now. I'm breaking my conditions. Karen! Hey, Darren, going to study, eh? I gotta study.
You get that every day.
Hi, this is Samir from Concordia. How are you doing? Okay. I wanted to know if this story would be appearing in tomorrow's Globe and Mail because we do have a press release tomorrow. We can debate the finer points of jurisprudence once you learn Arabic, maybe. But until then, I think you should respectfully take our word for it. Thank you.
Some of the guys yesterday were saying they think that you're anti-Semitic.
Okay.
What's your response to that?
Well, I have never made any anti-Semitic statements or written anything that can be construed as anti-Semitism. Of course, it's a very convenient explanation, right? It's because if you're going to be an apologist for Israel and the occupation, you have to deny that there is any Palestinian suffering and therefore any legitimate Palestinian grievances, but you have to furnish another explanation to why Palestinians are revolting, and that, of course, is that Palestinians are simply anti-Semitic. Why else would they revolt? Because they're anti-Semitic, period. And they hate democracy. That's it.
Hillel is the Jewish Student Union on campus, the center of Jewish activism, part of a North American Jewish community on campus type program. Israel's the Jewish state, we're a Jewish group, it's close connections, so we support Israel politically and spiritually. Concordia is an interesting place, and coming from where I grew up, I'd never been in a non-Jewish school. Never been in a school with a single non-Jew in my class. But it was sort of a shock. It's like I left a cocoon and went out to the big world. You know, that motto that they have for themselves, a real education for the real world. Booyah. That's what I got. That's what I'm getting.
فاليوم الذين آمنوا من الكفار يضحكون على الأرائك ينظرون الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Concordia used to be very, very Jewish. Jews were the immigrants back then, and Concordia was an immigrant school, and now Jews aren't so much immigrants, and now it's Arab Muslim students. There is a strong sense of tribalism.
First, tell me, how much is a keffiyeh?
How much? $15.
You sell a lot of them?
Yeah, a lot, especially the red ones.
There are a lot of Jewish students, many of whom feel that any attack against Israel is anti-Semitic. So it starts looking more and more like constant bickering between Jews and Arabs. And then people start saying, why are they bothering us with this, you know? Canadian multiculturalism, it's a multiculturalism of food and of dress, you know? That's what it's a multiculturalism of. When we want, if I were to say that Canada is supporting Israeli human rights abuses. And then people come and complain that I am kind of disrupting the multicultural experiment. Why can't I forget that and leave that at home? And that's not really multiculturalism.
لا 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 احنا نيجي في الرد من هدول رد مش على موضوع ايف على موضوع انه في طلاب عرب they're going to be targeted by the board of governors فهمت؟
I was born in Scarborough. Although I'm a Canadian citizen, I have the passport, but I'm Palestinian. I don't consider myself anything else. Ben Gurion said, you know, the old will die and the young will forget. And this is to show that we refuse to forget and that Palestine is our country and that we are going to go back there as soon as we get a chance. So I treat my stay here as an exile, nothing more and, nothing less.
What about studying? When you study?
I've effectively dropped my course. So.
You've dropped your one course?
Yeah. Well, not officially, but I'm going to. So now it's just me and my work. My wonderful, wonderful work. There's a tension in me between the fact that I'm Jewish and in this struggle, especially at Concordia, my people, my community are sort of like the bad guys, the enemies. Throughout this whole year, I've been thinking a lot about, this sort of struggle going on and my place in it.
What caused him to trip? Any idea?
Just caught his foot in the right, just didn't pick it up.
My dad is a doctor and a writer. For most of his life, he wrote about political issues, especially about the Israel-Palestine issue. And he still does speak out against Israeli atrocities and the Israeli government and so forth. And for that, he's really hated. Like he still gets death threats and hate mail. Letters that say, "Dear Dr. Mate, the SS should have finished you off. You're worse than the Arab garbage."
How's the boy doing in the war? My grandparents were killed in Auschwitz. My mother and I barely survived 1944, which is the year of the genocide in Hungary. I was the Vancouver youth leader of a Zionist group here. Absolutely. My intention was to live in Israel and to make what they call aliyah, to emigrate and to live in a kibbutz and all that whole idealistic scenario that you grow up with. Part of our training in the Zionist movement was to how to argue with Arab students on campus. I'm talking back in the 60s. And in order to argue with them, I had to find out what their point of view was. And as soon as I started reading their point of view, I began to realize that my view of history had been very narrow and very skewed and very isolated from reality. I think there should be a lot more activism on campuses. There should be a lot more debate. There should be a lot more discussion. There should be a lot more controversy. I mean, if at that point in your life you don't get engaged, you don't get impassioned, you don't care about something, one way or the other, you don't put yourself in the forefront of trying to figure out what the world is really all about and trying somehow to come to terms with the injustices in it, then when will you do it, for God's sakes?
No, guys. No, listen. Guys, don't get Why are you pushing me? Yo, listen.
This jihad, the word jihad is in our religion. You have no right to write these papers. I don't care whatever you understand about it. Okay? If something's written in the Quran, we can't write it on. No, you cannot say we have jihad enough. That means we will have enough of our religion, right? No, that's not what it means. That's what it means.
Okay, you want to debate? Take a coffee for 5 minutes and then we'll debate. Okay? Take a breath.
People are beginning to think of Concordia as a sort of microcosm for world geopolitics, and I think that's a real problem. I think that it's become really difficult to step back and look at the situations at our school without viewing it as the center of the world, and we forget about the things that are actually going on outside of our school.
The school is being portrayed as Riot University, you know. We're spending so much money on tuition, and there's a lot of different situations going on in the world, and it basically just seems like in Concordia that there's only two major events, Israel and Palestine, that's it.
The struggle that we're involved in at Concordia, on whatever side, okay, is an important struggle to have here, outside of what's happening there. Because I think that you know, we often wonder, how did it happen in Germany? Why did we let the Holocaust happen as an international community? You know, why did Canada not do anything before about it? And it's a really important question to ask, you know. What's our responsibility when something far away happens?
Mallal? I'm not going to beat this. What is this? Volunteers needed for IDF? Yeah. So you need volunteers to go in the Israel Defense Forces?
Yeah, lots.
You need lots of them? Yeah. And you're promoting it on Concordia campus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you have a problem with that?
I think Hillel is going to be should be held accountable for this. Can I have one of these?
Fucking animal.
A flyer that advertised a program that recruits for the Israeli army really angered a lot of people.
You do know there's laws against recruiting for the armed forces of a foreign power?
No, it's a volunteering. We're not recruiting. It's just a program. There's a lot of programs. Here, let me show you.
If these guys recruited for Hamas or Hezbollah, you'd be screaming blue murder.
But just a volunteer.
Between an army and...
It turns out the SPHR decided to really try and exploit this and make it a media issue. They decided to put a spin on it that Hillel was recruiting for the Israeli army.
When they were distributing the material, people came up to them and said, look, you know, why are you distributing this? This is not acceptable, because it was offensive.
Yeah. I'd like to add 2.5, Secretary of Council position.
Okay. In other business, I'd like to add an emergency motion resulting from materials that were given out by Hillel on November 27th.
We found out about this plant ban about 15 minutes before the actual meeting, so there was no due process. They had no time to prepare.
The CSU Council suspended Hillel and froze their funding.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
I actually think that the suspension was a really big mistake, and I'm worried about what's going to happen.
Motion is carried.
You know, what do you do? At some point, you have to sort of step in and be a bit authoritarian about it. You know, you have to say, look, you can't do that. You can't get away with continuously saying these things.
This is some fan mail. I just gotta listen to it. You are a pretentious swine. You are full of shit and hate. I do not advocate violence, but the truth is you really deserve to die. You know that if the shoe was on the other foot and the Palestinian group was outlawed on campus by the CSU, your Palestinian brethren would be slashing your throats. Nathan in Montreal. We look bad right now. Like the Jerusalem Post is reporting this everywhere.
Jerusalem Post reporting?
Yeah, the fucking UPI, yeah, United Press Syndicate, fucking call this. This is everywhere. Like, you know, people, like no one, even people on our side, like, what the fuck are you doing? You know?
Yeah,
like my dad this morning was like, what the hell? Like, are you? We deliberately put them in this position.
This is a result of the administration not taking the Council of Representatives seriously in this motion.
Yes,
that's why they
but
didn't
before
respond.
that, this is the result of the Council of Representatives not taking itself seriously and imposing a ban on a group without even letting them respond. That's what this is the result of. And then we go and blame the administration.
There's a press conference at 2:30. We're taking fucking responsibility.
Just wait. So we blame them, but
Eric, this is like, we're not going to get like.
So me and Sabine had an agreement that she would lift the suspension. She went down to the press conference. Then she said that we're gonna keep the suspension, and we ended up getting this big argument. And I went there and I said, you know, Sabine, please don't do this. And then talk about I'm gonna resign. And I went back to my office, and I was talking to my dad, and I started crying. I was like, this is such a great fucking institution, and we're throwing it down the tubes by trying to be authoritarians, and I can't be a part of it. And he was like, well, you know, why don't you do something about it? I was like, I'm doing something about it. I'm gonna resign. And he said, well, that's not doing something about it. That's just running away from it. And you know what? And you're right. Like, why should I just like sit down and be quiet?
Can I ask where Hillel is? Were they invited to be here today?
We weren't invited.
Did you invite them?
I
to speak?
No, well, no.
How come?
How come?
You are bringing supporters of the Palestinian cause, while your role is to represent all the students. In your opinion, doesn't it create a very, very strong case of maybe partiality, while you should be impartial?
So if
I actually wanted to say, I'm also on this executive with Sabina. I'm a vice president here. I wanted to tell the media that not everybody on this executive agrees with this decision. I personally think that we should lift the ban on Hillel because I think that they were unfairly banned. And not that I don't agree with what they did. I don't agree with their flyers. I think that they were offensive. But the fact is that they were banned without any form of due process. And I don't think that we should act like authoritarians, even if we think that we're morally right. Good.
Aaron, do not blindside people.
No.
You don't blindside people. You can have a disagreement.
We agreed this morning.
always disagree.
No.
You do not blindside people.
They blindsided me.
No. Also, it's okay for you to blindside her. You do not blindside people, Aaron. All solidarity, Aaron.
Yeah, exactly. We had a fucking agreement this morning that she went back on.
Everyone's very pissed at Aaron.
What do you think he did wrong?
I think he fundamentally just bowed to pressure. He was getting a lot of emails and flack and phone calls, from angry Zionists. And Aaron sees the Hillel as people to convert, right? People who he wants to win over. They're part of his community, and he wants to win them over. And he thinks that doing things of this sort are just going to alienate them further and entrench them more into the extremist Zionist camp. So oftentimes our tactics, diverge, and we come up with disagreements like this.
He has to recognize that he is in this as in solidarity with us, not with the Palestinians, not him dictating. He has to stand behind us, not even beside us. He has to stand behind us.
People always ask me, older people, so are the students scared to go to school? Are they hiding their yarmulkes? I'm like, people who don't wear yarmulkes are putting on yarmulkes. Jews are wearing their Magen David outside, you know what I mean? Jews, on their way to class, they're gonna hang around the table for 5-10 minutes. This is what's amazing. It's their wake-up call.
The Hanukkah rally was about defiance.
Okay, here for the lighting of the candle for the Festival of Lights. Please come inside. Everybody is welcome. We're going to be lighting a candelabra for the Jewish Festival of Lights.
Just like, many years ago, Jews had resisted Greek imperialism, and that's why we had the holiday of Hanukkah, so it came together very well.
The Maccabees of old were a small group of people who were dedicated to religious freedom, who were dedicated to liberty. And if we lived in a world that was characterized by honesty and decency, we would all have the courage to recognize and support the modern day Maccabees. And we all know who they are. Those who are the people, if the people who are heckling in the back were honest to their proclaimed ideals, they would join us right now in a demonstration for democracy in Arab lands. The heroic Maccabees of today are the Christians in China. We are the Jewish students of Concordia University have a right that is no less than any other student. Jewish students.
You're worse than a fucking traitor. You disgust me. Likewise. How can you fucking... How can you argue against a fucking Hillel in the school? I'm not arguing. Nothing worse than a self-hating Jew. Nothing worse. I agree.
You're in this position where all of your people on the other side, and they're calling you a traitor, and no matter how much I believe in what I'm doing, it just, when you have a lot of people in your face, saying how they feel sorry for you and calling you names and shit, it hurts. It sucks to be so not liked.
It's been wonderful, the greatest Hanukkah of our own time. I'm so proud to be a Jew. Am Yisrael Echad. I just want to remind you as you're leaving now, the last thing that could make this Hanukkah wonderful, the one thing that could ruin it, is if anyone doesn't leave in the most peaceful, serene manner. We're all excited, we're all happy, and if we want to show that we're really good Jews, if we want to be good Jews, we have to leave peacefully and calmly. Now, before you leave, I'd like to lead everyone in the singing of the Israeli national anthem of the Jewish state. And we got both for the future, Hatikva.
So growing up with Israel as a rock in my own identity, always as something as a positive influence, something to look to and say, see, Jews can accomplish something in the big chaotic world. Hearing speakers who rip to shreds things you value, it makes you feel as if family is getting beaten up, as if their reputation is getting attacked. You feel something you care about, a person, a place, is getting defaced.
Dude, who's touching you here, okay?
You're not going like
that. Yeah, you're walking around. So if you want to see people that walk into the university.
Samir got arrested, and then point that thing someplace else.
He was standing outside of the university on the sidewalk, and 4 or 5 police jumped him and threw him on the sidewalk, and now he's at the Guy station, just by Rennie Levesque. They're going to be holding him till tomorrow morning. They've asked for a couple $1,000 bail. So
What was he being charged for?
he's being charged for breaking his bail conditions from the 9th. The plan is for people to show up at the court tomorrow to show their support.
يعني اي شيء بيعملوا انهم ياخذوا اي شيء بيعملوا.
I'm looking at the numbers. Don't collect money. We're going to pay it as one block. It's okay. I have $100.
It's very scary. Why they targeting Samir? Maybe because he talks, because he's a free spirit actually, and they don't want him to talk. Maybe they want him to be silent. But not Samir. Samir wants to be silent, never. I know my son. I'm so very proud of my son. He's actually defending his rights because the Palestinians, they have the right to live a decent life in Palestine, like the rest of the people in this world. So, I don't know what's going to happen. We were forced to leave Palestine. My parents were forced, and my family. We have thousands of acres there, but now we cannot go back. But we still have the documents that this is our land. We still have the keys that this is our land. And we hope to go back, inshallah, one day.
Police and told them, oh, there's no school and Samir is in the school now.
This condition is for how long, anyway?
I don't know. You have to ask Samir. It's indefinite.
Why are you crying? I love you. I love you. I love all of you. You're a great support, Great job.
There are such stations that video will see.
No, it's just the pressures. It's too much. It's there's just no justice in the whole process and this whole thing. There's just saying constantly, going after the people that really are powerless.
Yeah.
What does this do?
You're just students.
What is it?
Yeah.
Please, but it's not about us, really.
Well, they mentioned the fact we shut them down.
Again,
Did you know her, Ingrid?
The front page. You saw the front page.
No, it was good.
That's
that
what
was
most
good.
people have read. That's what I'm telling you. Most people have not opened this page. I said the big piece outside. It's not like يلا اعبطها
لا بس يعني هون عم ندري
شو
بعطينا عبطة احنا
تبع
لا شو اخبارك؟ لا هو عشان هو لما شو اللي صار خلينا احنا كيفك كلكم تعلمنا
Thanks for talking to me at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, no, because I didn't want to talk to you. Just because Shadi has a mobile and Nate has a mobile. Mazen, I called.
It was good to hear your voice. Have you had cigarettes yet?
Yeah, I got it.
So we knew that it wasn't simply enough to have public demonstrations and to make noise about it, but we actually had to take concrete steps to undo the wrong that was done against us. For the first time since 1930s Austria, a Jewish student organization has been shut down. On Monday, December 2nd, near midnight, a motion was passed by the Concordia Student Union Council to shut down Concordia Hillel. Then we took the CSU to court. We will be petitioning the court for the following: punitive damages for the impingement upon the freedoms, liberties, and constitutional rights of Concordia's Jewish students and their association Concordia Hillel.
Don't touch it. There's a blue message stuck to the screen.
By the way,
do not touch the computer.
I think most people in the community figure a Jewish kid should have a grounding in his culture and his values, and with that, go into the world and do what you have to do.
So we'll just I was 7, he was 10.
I think it's time.
So I guess we should take the card.
I think I grew up without worrying about anti-Semitism or war or the environment. I think our kids are growing up with a lot of very serious worries.
Things at Concordia are just more public. I think that took the Jewish students by surprise. I think what this past year has shown to the Jewish students is that, well, you can be public too.
The reason we're here today, among other things, is to expressing yourselves, to speaking truth to power, and not breaking windows, to emphasize the point.
I think a guy like Noah has learned that if that's what the culture requires, so that's the language that you speak in that culture.
I know. Yeah, we're next with you.
You're going to set up?
Yeah.
Okay. Go inside.
I love this guy, man. I love this guy. This is my hero. This is pretty sweet. Has it ever affected you emotionally to be called an anti-Semite, a self-hating Jew? I mean, like, even if intellectually you can, even if it's said, like, if it's said so many times and with such force by seemingly people that may mean well.
I guess probably, maybe 35 years ago it did,
yeah.
But no,
I
don't really care. First of all, this is just what happens when you're critical. I mean, if you shut up, you're okay. Okay, that comes with turf. So what do you expect?
You've called anti-Arab racism the last form of acceptable racism in the mainstream.
That's been going on for a long time. I mean, when I was a child, and in fact, a graduate student, anti-Semitism was legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, anti-Semitism was just normal, I remember as a kid in the 30s, when my father finally got enough money to buy a car, we'd drive off for a weekend to the nearby mountains, and you had to look for the motels to see if they had restricted on them. The word restricted meant no Jews. I mean, no blacks, you know, you didn't even need a sign. You know, that's out of the question. But with regard to Arabs, it's not concealed any more than it was about Jews. And in fact, in depictions of Arabs, it's just standard. I mean, you go to movies or, you know, television or the media. I mean, Arabs are just killers and murderers and so on and so forth. You want a terrorist? Yeah, okay, make them look like an Arab.
But it's good to be back. I'm actually, I didn't think I'd say this. When I left, I was pretty happy to be leaving for the break, but, and there's Sabine now. Hey, Sabine. Hey. Sorry I'm late. How you doing?
Okay, you?
Good, very good.
Double suicide bombing.
Possibly 24.
I haven't seen this lawsuit yet. I'm looking forward to reading it.
What do you think of the lawsuit?
It's pretty illustrative of the general attitude in that they're suing us basically, I think, for being pro-Palestinian and for being left-wing, which last time I checked isn't outlawed under Canadian law. I'm worried that it's gonna drag on and that it's gonna get ugly. And I think that they're doing this, they're trying to tie us up in court, make us spend a lot of money, slander us in the press as being anti-Semitic, just to defame us and teach people a lesson that if you criticize Israel, if you take it too far, then we're gonna take you out.
So you guys pretty much screwed when it comes to Hillel? Is that what he's saying?
Well,
we're screwed all over the place.
Aaron, what do you think? Sabine's a pessimist.
I mean, in terms of
They're
that.
not going to settle.
No, of course not. Well, see, that's what I was telling Aaron yesterday. Like, Aaron thinks that if we apologize to them, they'll drop the lawsuit.
No.
No way.
He even said.
No way.
We'll see. We'll see. Hey, have you seen Noah Sarna?
No, I think he went.
He's gone? Nobody knows where he is? For a long time, I only knew him through just reading his comment pieces. And I really resented him in many ways. And I thought, you know, oh, this guy's such a, you know, he's a racist, he's an apologist for atrocities and so forth. He's a, you know, a terrible person.
First of all, I'm saying, so the Chomsky used that quote like you often used last year. That is generalization.
You always like to believe that the people who disagree with you politically are intolerant little bigots, right? Who are just full of rage and anger and don't listen and aren't interested in anything, you know, good. The first impression of Aaron Maté as a person was a little guy who was just pissed off at everything, a Chomsky and with a knack for writing.
I just don't, I mean, is this really about, like if we had banned...
One thing that was confusing, this guy, Aaron, who was on the CSU, was in a position of authority in the student government for a couple of years, yet did nothing to help the Jewish community on campus. What is his Jewishness worth?
But unfortunately, because politically, these issues are very important to me and I see them in a certain way, these are the people that I have to be on side with at this point because I can't be on your side. But anyway, but the point is, what was I saying? The point is, this lawsuit, like, fuck, is this really about how you guys are feeling at Hillel and not what people in B'nai B'rith and Bergman are wanting to do? because I actually don't sense that. And like, I don't want to be presumptuous, but that's...
Have you spoken to people in Hillel about the lawsuit?
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
I get the impression that Aaron is a politician.
I'm sure that
I have trouble seeing things that he does as anything else than a political strategy. So he can say what he wants to say. I'll invite him over to my house for Shabbat 1,000 times. If he wants to be part of the community, any Jew who says they're a Jew should be able to come to my house, and my family will give them chicken soup. My mom will smile at them and ask them how it's going.
Anyway, so think about what I said, like, you know, and...
So, wait, what happened with Noah?
He rejected my peace offer. He said, he was sort of into it. Like, if the CSU basically abandoned all of our political stances and we had no foreign policy, as he put it, then he'd be willing to discuss maybe dropping this lawsuit. But I mean, whatever. Like, we're not gonna like sit idly by and not take stances, especially if that's what we were elected on. And like, that's who we are, you know. So fuck it. We'll go to war.
They started making fun of, like, whenever we rally, we sing Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai. So they started singing it. Yeah, they started singing it, like Am Yisrael Chai. But you guys, your songs, you ever hear like a Palestinian folk song? It's like boom.
No, yeah.
We're coming to kill you, Zionists.
Song of jihad, not the
Kill
Palestinian
you.
songs, you know? No.
Sing a nice one. You know some nice ones?
No.
Yeah,
I don't know these songs. No, I don't listen to these songs.
You know,
It's against my principle. No.
Why?
Because I don't believe
religious songs.
No, it's not about religion. I don't believe in suicide bombing and songs that, for violence. For sure, I don't believe in that. Yeah, I don't believe in that. Come on.
So this is a song that we always sing in the SPHR offices. My country, da-da-da. You are so beautiful. I want you to be a democracy and secular, and don't teach hate. Don't teach hate. To the little children and the miserable refugees, don't teach hate in the school system. My country, da-da-da. Once the Israelis pull out of the West Bank and Gaza, you shall have very, very good ties with America and Canada. You shall have. Can I see my country? We reject. Human rights abuses. This is a PC version. Human rights abuses. My country. I love you. I love you, country. I love you, country. Palestine.
Samir and I met in a propaganda class, actually, which is kind of interesting considering everything that's happened since. But yeah, we actually met in Dennis Murphy's propaganda class and became friends through that. Personally, for me, growing up Jewish but in a very secular household, reading things that Samir had written, hearing him speak, and not just Samir, I mean, sort of everything, the general atmosphere at Concordia prompted me to be actively interested in what was going on in the world. There's something for all people who have chosen to interact as human beings and not as representatives from their respective backgrounds. There's just a place where you meet in the middle as members of the human race and not as a Jew and an Arab. On the other hand, from the outside world, it's been a huge problem. I have definitely felt from a lot of acquaintances an air of confusion, at least, and sometimes of coldness and of a bitterness that I really find difficult to grasp, and it is hurtful.
told me yesterday, that, you know, and I thank you very much for calling me, that you had filed a complaint with the RCMP, and I mentioned it.
Two things. First of all,
So what's up with Samir these days?
What's up with Samir? Well, I think he's feeling a mix of his, you know, his usual egotistical, grandiose, larger-than-life ways.
Okay, Samir El-Atrash, and I'm the Vice President of Communications with SB.
Yeah, I mean, like, whatever. He gets on my nerves sometimes, you know. The more hoopla there is and the more tension, the more people get rightly sick of it and then want to kick you out of office. Can West, Izzy Asper-owned Global Television, has been developing plans for a documentary about Concordia. You know, it's a general trend. It's a hot property in the entertainment world. And they've tapped Samir El-Atrash as one of their main stars. But now, after getting wind of, you know, not just the company behind it, but the producer of the show, people are concerned. I think Samir's going through a crisis. It's gotta be tough. Like, on the one hand, you have the prospect of like this hour-long show all about you. I mean, I can relate because when I was doing the CBC thing last month or a few months ago, I was like, yeah, they're great. They're, you know, they're gonna be so great to us. Of course they weren't.
We'll have a bet. Like, you know, you think they're gonna make my eyes look way bigger? I'll be like, kill the Jews. I don't think so.
Samir El-Atrash is the brains behind the offensive. He leads Solidarity for Palestinian Human Rights, SPHR.
It blew me out of my seat.
When Samir and other activists say they want Israel wiped out, the vast majority of Jews take that as being anti-Jewish.
It was like being handled by, you know, a very sophisticated propaganda machine that just completely, you know, basically cut you up and then pinned you back in the shape that they wanted to pin you back in.
All of a sudden at like 2 o'clock in the morning, we received a frantic telephone call from Samir saying, I have to come over, I need to talk to people.
I was, I think, in tears at the time. And I remember I felt so upset at the time that I asked Emily to break up with me because I thought that, like, you know, why should anybody have to be associated with me at this time? You know, obviously I doubted myself, I doubted my capabilities, I doubted whether, you know, I should be doing this type of thing. If you point out that there's 3 million people living under an occupation, I'll be portrayed as an anti-Semite. I'm not Italian, you know, I'm not from Iceland criticizing Israel. I'm a Palestinian. I'm directly affected by this issue. My parents are directly affected by this issue.
It's hard to open yourself in Concordia. It's hard to, you know, try to see the bad guys as not so bad, or the good guys as not so good. It's hard. And the scary thing is, no matter how open-minded you think you are, no matter how objective or how knowledgeable you think you are, you can never know if you're just, you know, always deluding yourself. You can never know for sure if you're just closed-minded still.
This year ended with the elections to decide the new Concordia Student Union.
Yeah, drop it. Yeah. We rock it.
There's been a lot of animosity towards the Concordia Student Union. People are tired of this school being political.
Straight at Concordia, I pay like $1,500 a year. It's not too bad, but still it could be cheaper or more freer. This is how we do. You can share the free.
Every year it's the lefties versus the right wing slates. And every year it's the lefties saying, you know, we're not as bad as, like, we're not the lefties, we're not, even though they really are.
I did tell people to vote for evolution. I mean, their platform was students first, activism second. Because, I mean, it's not particularly a Jewish thing or a Hillel thing. I think it's in the interest of all students. Because most students, they're tired of a certain clique running in the CSU.
They put themselves up in the ivory tower, up on the 6th floor, created this tight-knit little clan of people who are holding power, and like with this narrow political agenda, and completely disenfranchised everybody. So everything that they hate, they've become.
Get back to Egypt!
Put a swastika on a mug on the beach? Yeah.
You disgraced my prophet, David. You disgraced Moses, my prophet, my maker religion. The Israeli flag dishonors my prophet. You had
Who just said it has nothing to do with the whole occupation?
The point is, like, what's the point of this?
What is the point of this?
Israel is a fascist state. I don't need to talk to you anymore because you're fascist bigots. Fascist bigots. Fascist bigots.
I guess they get shot one day.
Like it's come to the point where like there's no right and wrong anymore. Everybody's calling each other racist. You're racist. No, you're racist. Oh, this guy's racist. This party's racist. These groups. Everybody's racist. You know. Whatever. Who wants to go to school where everybody's a racist?
What do you guys think about the CSU?
Oh God. We'll pass. No comments.
Well, to say the truth, I'm a little sick of CSU politics, to tell you the truth.
I don't know what to say anymore. I mean, they keep doing this, and I'm trying to get my education.
Because the situation here is worse than ever. It's a disaster.
Clean slate, 1,097 votes. Evolution, not revolution, 2,260
Whoa, you made it, Naomi.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting the fuck out of here. It's a personal failure in that we didn't explain to them that, look, I mean, the point is right now, to whatever extent we are involved in political activity, that's not a bad thing. Because we're all kids, you know? So to me, actually, in some ways, like the most childish and the biggest hindrances are those behind the scenes, the adults, the parents, the lobby groups, the commentators that have a huge role in informing opinion.
They're saying now? They're saying that like the reason like we failed is because we were not democratic enough.
After we lost the elections, I think one reason why I didn't feel as terrible as I think I otherwise would have is because this feeling actually had been growing in me ever since we shot down Netanyahu. We immediately became very self-righteous and unwilling to take any responsibility for what happened that day. We became just wrapped up in squabbling with Hillel and squabbling with the administration, and we became very self-involved.
I think I can keep loading stuff.
I gotta move on. I've been here for 5 years in this school, and there's life in a world beyond the CSU, you know, and the revolution will go on.
How was the beer?
Samir ate 2 ducks, a couple pig's feet.
I feel like an American tourist. Like, yeah.
Looks like an American tourist.
I don't know. This is the face of America. 10 years. You know the Muslim.
I am the new face of America.
This is the new face of America. We breed like rabbits.